Hello my soccer universe, for a full look back at what happened in World Cup qualifying during this international break. This includes 2 full rounds in all the regions except for CONCACAF, where nothing yet was played. And we have 3 new teams that qualified. We had already Japan when I made the preview. Now we have another Asian team in Iran. We have New Zealand in there, and of course the world champions are also qualified in Argentina, doing it emphatically, so having probably the best window of them all when I just look at the opponents that they were playing. Their 2 main rivals, and they won both games, and that without Lionel Messi. So that's a pretty big statement for Argentina as well. I was thinking of doing a video earlier, but decided to use the time not only to recharge myself a little bit from the relentless videoing schedule that I have, but also to use this time to prepare my files. And let's face it, I'm still not quite done, but at least for this video I have almost everything that I wanted in there except for graphics for the African games, which is a little bit weird, but you know, those were a whole lot of work. I didn't get them done in time. However, my calculations at least I got done for everything, including also UEFA qualifying for now. In this video I'm gonna go region by region. I go through the major talking points without going too much in detail. I honestly have seen very few games live. I saw a few highlights here and there, but there are quite some interesting storylines. And we will start at the smallest confederation, which is Oceania. Yes, I know, it's a rugby shirt, which coincidentally is also the foremost sport played in the OFC region. But New Zealand have qualified in the finals tournament, where the group winners and the group runners-up played a semi-final and then a final. And the first one, New Caledonia, who won Group A ahead of Fiji, won against Tahiti 3-0. That was already played in New Zealand, in Wellington. And then the hosts of said tournament beat Fiji 7-0. That's the biggest scoreline in this entire qualifying campaign. Of course, Chris Wood won a score sheet with a hat-trick, but he was not the only goal scorer. And so in the final, New Zealand had to take New Caledonia for the guaranteed spot in the World Cup. And they had to face this New Caledonia team, who gave them a little bit of trouble. And the goals came relatively late, it gotta be said, because Boxall in the 61st minute broke the deadlock. But then the gay flood gets open. Barbarouses, who had come on for injured Chris Wood, so Forest fans will probably be a little bit worried, scores in the second one in the 66th minute, and just in the 80th minute seals the deal, and New Zealand are through. They romped through this qualifying campaign. They scored 29 goals in 5 games. It's almost 6 goals per game. Clearly the top dog in the OFC region, and qualifying for the 3rd time for that World Cup. And for the first time, the direct qualification spot. They never qualified as early and probably as easily. After Japan, Iran are the 2nd Asian team to qualify for the World Cup, and they did it against the 2 top dogs in their group. First, they beat the UAE at home thanks to Sardar Azmoun goal in the 27th minute of first half stoppage time. I guess the game was suspended for a lengthy period. I honestly have not heard why that was, but that already put Iran close to qualifying, and then they had to take on Uzbekistan, who were their closest challenger and even took twice the lead through Erkinov and Faizulayev. However, Taremi both times equalizes, and thus Iran are through to the World Cup. And with that 4th consecutive qualification, Iran established themselves as a World Cup mainstay. And more or less everybody expected South Korea to follow suit. However, they only got 2 successive home draws, when a draw and a win would have been enough to take them through. First off, they only play a 1-1 against Oman, leading through Hwang Hee-chan in the 41st minute, but Ul Al-Buzaidi in the 80th get the equalizer. So the celebrations were already postponed at that point. And then they took on 2nd place Jordan, a team that actually had eliminated them from the Asian Cup last year. Again, got an even earlier goal through Lee Jae-sung. However, El Mardi in the 30th equalized, and despite all the effort, South Korea cannot find a winner and still have to wait for the ticket. Their position, though, is relatively safe. I mean, they have a 4-point cushion and 2 games to go. You would think that South Korea will get this over the line, but the celebration should have already happened in this break. And we already said that Japan have already qualified, how Australia also took a big step towards the World Cup, beating first Indonesia 5-1 at home and then also getting a 2-0 away win at China. So Australia looks set to go on to the second direct qualifying spot from Group C. But Saudi Arabia keep themselves in a relatively good position. They will at least go to this fourth qualifying round. They first got also a win over China, this time at home. Al-Dawsari scoring the decisive goal in the 50th minute after China had been reduced to 10 men, and then managed a 0-0 draw against Japan away from home. Of course, Japan were already celebrating, so they just used that momentum as well. And Japan were really dominant in the game, so it was actually a little bit of a fluke that Saudi Arabia got a point out of there. There's only one word to describe African qualifying, and that word is wild. I mean, most groups have a clear favorite, but there are so many twists and turns in between, and two really big nations that are already struggling to qualify. But let's go group by group. In Group A, Egypt put themselves in a much more secure position, getting 2 wins in a row. Not glorious ones, but a 2-0 away win at Ethiopia. And the two countries, let's say, are in a little bit of a tense relations. Of course, Mohamed Salah was on the score sheet. However, Zizou gets the second goal, and he also then got the winning goal at home against Sierra Leone. And so Egypt are really on the doorstep of qualifying. Much more interesting was the situation in Group B, where ahead of this international break, Sudan were the surprise leaders, with Senegal only in second space. However, now it's the DRC that actually leapfrogged the two and sit in first place. First off, the DRC beat South Sudan 1-0 at home through a Bongonda goal, whereas the top of the table clash between Sudan and Senegal ended in a goalless draw. Then Sudan had another draw against their southern neighbor South Sudan, conceding an equalizer in the 98th minute. And so the DRC took first place with a 2-0 away win in Mauritania, Piqué and Mayele scoring, and Senegal did likewise with a 2-0 home win over Togo. The goals came through Sarr and Koulibaly. However, probably the biggest story in African qualifying is that Nigeria probably will not qualify. It is South Africa who look in a really good position. And it looked actually quite well for Nigeria, who needed desperately 2 wins. They got a 2-0 away win at Rwanda, but then followed this only up with a 1-1 at home against Zimbabwe, conceding an equalizer in the 90th minute after Victor Osimhen had them given the lead. South Africa, meanwhile, got a 2-0 away win at Lesotho and another 2-0 away win at Benin. However, the first 3 points might get deducted because they feel Mokoena, who was actually suspended because of a yellow card. So that very likely will result in 3 points for Lesotho, and so that's a lifeline for Nigeria. For now, South Africa are towering in the table, having a 5-point cushion over Rwanda, Benin, and a 6-point cushion over Nigeria, but deduct 3 points, and that group is suddenly wide open. Already when I made the previous preview video, Cameroon had dropped points in a 0-0 draw at Eswatini, and that actually put their qualification spot in danger, because suddenly it's the Cape Verde Islands who are top of Group D. First, they score a late winner in the home game against Mauritius to beat the other island team 1-0, and then followed it up with a 2-1 away win at Angola. While Cameroon also keep themselves in contention with a 3-1 home win over Libya. It probably will come down to the head-to-head, and Cape Verde against Cameroon, there's some past history there as well. Technically, Morocco have already qualified for the World Cup. Why? Because 2 of the teams in that group have either withdrawn or are suspended, with the Congo having been suspended due to government interference. And so if those 2 are out and the games don't count, then Morocco suddenly look like they're through to the World Cup. They will anyway go through because they have a towering lead. They got a 2-1 away win at Niger despite being 1-0 down. However, Saibari and El Khanous turn it around for the Moroccans. In Group F, it also looks tight between the Côte d'Ivoire, the reigning AFCON champions, and Gabon. However, it is between those two, and you would favor the Côte d'Ivoire to qualify once again for a World Cup. The top of Group G looks deceptively tight. However, Algeria really put down a mark by beating Mozambique, the second place team, 5-1 at home, with Amoura scoring a hat-trick in the process. Tunisia also look relatively safe. Namibia maybe have an outside chance, but you would think that Tunisia again will qualify for a World Cup. And Ghana also on a big bounce back path with, amongst other results, a 3-0 away win at Madagascar, with Thomas Partey scoring a brace and Mohamed Kudus also getting in on the action. And we've already said that the group winners go directly to the World Cup, but The runners-up will also get a single playoff spot for Africa, and that's only for the 4 best second-place teams. However, due to the Moroccan group having 2 teams now crossed out, it is not quite clear how this will rank. CF have not yet decided how this is gonna be ruled. I could imagine that they take the points totals, but then how do you really rate Niger? Or you take the FIFA ranking, which we will see is also used in UEFA, but that is also not quite clear. So watch the space. Probably in the end it will not matter because Niger anyway have a relatively low points total. And so at the moment it would be Gabon, Cameroon, Senegal and Namibia, but I think the final set will look completely different. When compared to Africa, European qualifying was rather tame, almost no drama. Well, the drama was in the Nations League, and thanks to the Nations League, we now know how the groups are looking. So let's walk us through group by group, and we'll mention some games in between as well, but it's only the bottom 6 groups that have already games played, because the top 6 are only 4-team groups, and they all will play in the fall. First one is Germany, Slovakia, Northern Ireland and Luxembourg. Of course, Germany, huge favorites in that one. And I think Germany can more or less book already their place in the United States. Although Slovakia, maybe. In comparison, Group B to me seems wide open. Yes, Switzerland and Sweden should be considered the favorites. But Slovenia also have been showing good things as of late and had a good Euros. And then there's the case of the Kosovo, who are now in Nations League B and had also some decent showings. So I think this is a really, really tight one. Yes, Switzerland are the favorites. Denmark is now headed for Group C, facing Greece and Scotland, who just faced each other in the League AB playoff, with Greece actually going through. I think Greece could challenge there, and Denmark, yeah, probably favorites over Scotland as well. I mean, Denmark should be considered the favorites, but it's a 3-way race. I don't give much to Belarus. Like Germany, France got a relatively manageable group facing Ukraine and Iceland. Yes, Ukraine could give them some trouble on their day, but overall you think that France should easily manage World Cup qualification. Group E looked so even and dicey in a way, with many interesting matchups, but then there's Spain in there. And do you really think that Turkey, Georgia and Bulgaria can challenge Spain? I don't, honestly. So another group where we more or less know who will be in first, but second place, that might be up for grabs, and I think it's between Turkey and Georgia, because Bulgaria, unfortunately, not good. Portugal are also favorites in their group. Yes, it might not be the easiest one on paper, but Hungary on a downward slope. Ireland maybe are moving up, but still at least a level below Portugal. And Armenia also is a team that Portugal should beat, even with a B squad. Which moves us now to Group G, the first one where we had already actual matches being played, and Poland had a really good start with 2 wins. First, a home win against Lithuania, very late Lewandowski winner in the 81st minute, followed by a 2-0 home win over last place Malta, with Swiderski actually scoring the 2 goals. Also notable, Finland only managing a narrow win at Malta and then a 2-2 away from home at Lithuania. To me, the biggest upset so far came in the Austria group, with Bosnia and Herzegovina beating Romania 1-0 away from home, with Gigovic scoring the winning goal already in the 14th minute, and Romania really having a hard time breaking down the Bosnian defense. This win is an exclamation point, because everyone thought this will be between Austria and Romania. Yeah, Bosnia might be back, but let's see about how this is going forward. Austria still should be considered the favorites, but now you already have to make up a 6-point difference, and you start with a game against Romania. So already a pretty big one to get the campaign started. Italy will also rue their defensive frailties and not beating Germany, which was possible. However, they are now in a group with Norway, Israel, Estonia and Moldova, and Norway have already a 6-point lead, and goal difference is the first tiebreaker, and Norway laid down a marker, beating Moldova 5-0 away from home, and Holland only got a single goal. It was Riasen, it was Oscar, it was Sørloth and it was Donim scoring the goals, and then they followed that one up with a 4-2 away win at Israel. Again, only a single goal by Holland, but it is Sørloth, Wolf and Ayer getting in on the action. So that is a very dangerous team going forward, and we know the Italian defense, and dare I say it, is not looking good. Italy need to get 4 points of Norway and win everything if they wanna not miss out on another World Cup. As compared to Austria and Italy, the hill to climb for Belgium is much shallower, because the 2 other teams that might vie for a second, potentially first spot, North Macedonia and Wales, only play out a 1-1 draw in the second round, and It was 2 stoppage time goals. First, Miovski gave North Macedonia the go-ahead goal in the 91st minute. However, it was equalized by Brooks in the 96th minute. Under their new coach, Wales are still unbeaten. No drama, at least on the pitch for England. Under Thomas Tuchel, a winning start, 2 easy home wins. One against Albania that never really was in doubt. Maybe could have been even more goals. Lewis Skelly scoring, I think, on his debut for England. And Harry Kane, of course, had to be on the score sheet as well. And against Latvia, Reece James got back on the score sheet for England, scoring the 30th minute. Cue and embrace by Thomas Tuchel, of course, as well. Harry Kane again and Everice Ezi also on the score sheet. And looking at that table, it is really hard to see England not qualifying from this group. And like Austria and Italy, Croatia also should be considered favorites in their qualifying group, Group L. However, the Czechs already sit on 6 points. Not gloriously so. They only get a narrow 2-1 home win against the Faroe Islands, with Patrick Schick scoring a brace. Actually, they conceded an equalizer in the 83rd minute before in the 85th Schick gets the winning goal for the Czechs, who followed then up with a 4-0 away win at Gibraltar, the expected one, with Czerny, Schick, Schulz and Clement scoring the 4 goals. At the same time, Montenegro also got 2 wins against the same opponents, and so yeah, 2 teams on 6 points. However, I will still think that Croatia will win this one. For the European teams, we have a total of 16 spots, and the group winners qualify automatically for the World Cup, and then there's a playoff where the 12 runner-ups are joined by 4 teams from the UEFA Nations League, and the 12 teams are grouped then according to the FIFA ranking, so that will make it quite interesting, and 4 more spots will be given that way. I hope that for my Azzurri and my Austrian national team we do not have to worry about these playoffs, because those 2 teams will not qualify through there. And that leaves us with South America, where we already said Argentina are qualified as the first team, but we also have quite some clarity of who will go through already, because the top 6 are pretty much set in stone. Little caveat, whenever I did a video so far, I didn't realize that Ecuador were docked 3 points. It is amazing that Ecuador still sit in second place with that. They are the second best team in the South American region at this very moment, with a 3-point deduction. That is rather remarkable. But rather remarkable were also the 3 top games that we had in South America. We had Brazil facing Colombia, taking an early lead through a Rafinha penalty. However, Luis Diaz equalizes. Then Colombia were actually slightly better, but Vini Jr., deep in stoppage time, got the winning goal. And so this was a huge lifeline for Brazil. And in the same match day, Uruguay lost at home to Argentina. Argentina with a very, routine performance without Messi, still controlling a Uruguay team that is coached by Bielsa. Almada stepping up and scoring the winning goal after Julian Alvarez assist. Already a scary looking win for Argentina. We also had Nico Gonzalez sent off with a direct red card late on. And then it all culminated in Argentina facing Brazil. At the time of kickoff, Argentina already had qualified, as Uruguay managed a 0-0 draw away to Bolivia. So Bolivia cannot catch even mathematically Argentina anymore, and so Argentina were already through to the World Cup. But they celebrated this with an emphatic 4-1 thumping of Brazil, and 4-1 was flattering to Brazil. And it's all down to the tactics by Dorival Jr., who only put 2 men in midfield and Argentina put 5. Of course they're bossing it. If you just see the highlights, how the first 2 goals are scored. I mean, Argentina passing themselves easily through the Brazilian midfield. They have fully control. Brazil are always second to each ball, and so it's Julian Alvarez who already opens scoring the 4th minute and 12th minute. Enzo Fernandez doubles it up. It was a gift that got Mateus Cunha the goal to pull one back. However, McAllister in the 37th reestablishes a 2-goal lead, and then Giuliano Simeone gets his first goal for Argentina in the 71st minute. Another one where the Tagliafico pass just goes across the box, and he then from a difficult angle yanks it into the net. This was utter destruction for Brazil. After the win against Colombia, you could argue that maybe Brazil are on the way back, but this seemed more like a knockout blow, and thankfully South America have 6 qualifying spots. However, the time for Dorival Jr. seems to be over already, and let's see who they will appoint as his successor in the case he gets sacked. But also the other good team in South America, at least when you judge from the Copa America, Colombia, had a really bad window, only managing a single point in a 2-2 draw at home against Paraguay. A Paraguay team that got 4 points that actually moved them up the ladder as well. And it started out so well because after 15 minutes, Colombia had already a 2-0 lead through Luis Diaz first minute and Juan Duran. However, then it's Alonso and Enciso who get the equalizer for Paraguay, who are very safe almost to go to the World Cup. And this concludes our little journey across the wide world of World Cup qualifying. It's kind of amazing that we are more than a year away from the World Cup and we already know 7 nations that are participating. The 3 host nations, Mexico, United States and Canada. Then New Zealand, Japan and Iran, and of course the world champions Argentina. I'm really looking forward how this will all pan out. We know more or less who will come in from South America. Next time around, in June, we also will have CONCACAF qualifying. The African qualification is really wild. And let's see, on the one side, I really would like to see Nigeria and Cameroon go through because they are just such big nations in a World Cup context. On the other side, new qualifiers like the Cape Verde Islands. That's also something that I'm really intrigued by. And also a return of South Africa wouldn't be too bad. I really hope that in Europe, Austria and Italy will avoid the playoff because I don't see them making it through there. Then let's also see who will come in from Asia, South Korea, and probably 2 newly qualified teams in probably Jordan and Uzbekistan. Also, kind of exciting. And yes, it's an expanded World Cup. Maybe it doesn't count for as much as it did before, but still, having new teams at the World Cup is always something exciting. In any case, let me know your thoughts on all things qualifying in the comments below. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos like these. And I will talk to you soon about more things in my soccer universe. Bye! Hey there! I really hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, here are some videos and playlists that you may enjoy too. Also, please consider subscribing to my channel and hit the little bell icon so you get notified whenever something happens in my soccer universe. And with that, have a wonderful day. Bye!